Well, as you can see from that wind outside, not a good day to ride. So, we're going to talk about this. So here it is. Original Triumph Daytona 650, 2005. Bought it November in 2004. Brand new. So, Triumph. I bought this bike, as I said, November 2004 from Hermes. Hermes has been around since 1963. Show you a picture of it here. It was an old school, one of the longest running Triumph dealers that was in Pennsylvania. Now it's a lot fancier. They have BMW and Triumph. But that's where I bought it. $7,999 brand new. And I remember the day I bought it. Let's talk about that. So, that's 18 years ownership with this. So I'm going to tell you everything about this bike for the last 18 years. In case you're wondering, this is the t-shirt that they gave me the day I bought this bike. Quality matters. Bought that bike November 2004. Remember driving to the dealer. It was cold, 20 degrees, and it was actually snowing. So I went in, did the financing, took care of the bike. Time to ride it home. Probably the coldest ride I've ever had on a brand new sport bike, which I never rode before. New tires, slick as can be, and snowy roads. Wasn't bad if I was going a mile or two, but it was about a 35-mile ride. So as we got going, I wasn't going fast, 20, 30 miles an hour, but with the wind, it was probably in the teens. Riding a sport bike in November and a snowy day in Pennsylvania, not the best idea, but I had to get it home. Yeah, I bought that bike and it was freezing. It was cold to ride home. Yes, it was. But I got it home. Had a long wait till spring because it was snowing all winter. Of course, when you buy a new bike, that's what happens. But when I got that bike out in the spring, it was a lot of fun. I had 2.5 great years with that bike. Did everything that it said. And that's when the problems begun. So I'm going to grab all my records. And I'm going to go through everything that happened to this bike since I started having problems. Before we get to that, let's listen to all the hype that was around when this bike came out. YouTube didn't even exist when I bought this bike. But there are some videos that were made after. So let's listen to how well this bike was acclaimed.
Folks, resplendent in yellow, the best of British. The Triumph Daytona 650. This is Triumph's offering in the middleweight Sportster class, and a cracking machine. Follows on obviously from the Daytona 600, and that was a follow on from the TT 600. All good bikes in their own rights. This is an inline 4-cylinder engine, and it's got it all there. A very, very competent sports bike. We can see there the Rentec grab rail on the back, standard exhaust system. Very, very clean machine, pretty much unmarked. So let's have a listen at that engine. Well, there she is, folks, the view inside the cockpit. Very responsive engine, 646cc inline 4-cylinder liquid cooled. It's a double overhead cam fuel injected 6-speed gearbox gem of a motor. Producing 112 bhp at 12,500 rpm and pushing this 165 kilo sports bike forwards very nicely indeed. Thank you very much.
In addition to some articles that were written, check out the clips. So, here is all the paperwork for that bike. First thing we did, November 2006. So about a year and some change after I got the bike, I got some new tires. So we put on the Metzler M3 tires, no worries. $412.16 front wheel, back wheel. Rode that bike till the tires blew off. It was awesome. Replaced the tires, no big deal. Expected. Routine cost of maintenance, right? So, first thing, had a little problem with the electrical. I noticed the speedometer cut out.
So what do you do on a sport bike when you lose your speedometer and your tachometer? What's all that about?
I thought maybe it was a fuse. Checked the fuse, replaced it, didn't fix the problem. Then I noticed my battery kept draining. So I thought, well, maybe the original stock battery sat on the shelf a long time and it was old when they put it in the bike. So I went, and I have that receipt. Actually, it's in order. So I went November 13th of 07 at 2:54 in the afternoon, and I bought a new battery for the bike. Brand new, put it in the bike, started up, brand new battery, started up, took it for a ride. Didn't seem to have any problems. Second or third ride, boom, speedometer went out. Okay, now we got an issue. Next time for a ride, start the bike. Battery was chugging. Took the battery out, took it back to the place I got it, and I exchanged it and replaced it for another battery. Put the battery in, let's see what happens. Went to start the bike. Usually the tachometer will flip all the way up and over. The digital speedometer will come on. And with Triumph, you have to pull the clutch in to start the bike. No big deal. You pull the clutch in, boom, hit the kill switch, start the bike, fires up, right? Well, just as this sits today, this is exactly what I was getting then. Nothing. So, now what? When all these problems started happening with this bike, I scoured the Triumph forums and I saw electrical problem after electrical problem after electrical problem. I didn't know a whole lot about bikes then. I don't know a whole lot now, but I know a lot more than I did then. And Triumph is notorious for electrical issues. Who knew? Apparently, that's long ago, 2005. They've gotten much better since. So in the meantime, all this time was going by, I moved, I changed states. So I went from Hermes, which was an awesome dealer, to a new place. So I get that bike down there. Fast forward 2009, March of 2009. Take it in for a basic oil change, check everything, make sure everything's good to go. Fuel pump, regulator, rectifier, and then somewhere in here was about a stator. I just can't seem to find that. And I did all my routine maintenance. I didn't neglect anything. So when 2014 issue happened, I was done. I parked it, put the cover on it, and you know what I did? I stopped for a year, and then in 2017 I bought an Indian Scout. But that bike was sitting there, and I said I can't just let it sit. So, glutton for punishment, 2019, take it back in and said, let's get this thing running. So I got new tires, flushed all the fluids, replaced everything. 5,118 miles on the bike at that time. So, what do we do here? We did all that work. Come to find out, now this was over my bike. I dropped it off. Time in was April of 19. Got the bike back July of 19. That was another problem. Not with Hermes. Hermes is a great dealership. This one, in a state down south, had an issue. Nobody wanted to take accountability for anything. So we changed the coolant, the fuel filter, all that good stuff. Fuel pump again, they said, was an issue. Regulator, fuel pressure, O-rings, okay? So now they had to take off the tank, the airbox, spark plugs, and they started to do a compression test. And they found cylinder 1, 3, and 4, all at 225 psi, as it should be, and cylinder 2 at 175. Has an issue with cylinder 2. Now this was over 3 months they had the bike, and they replaced everything to get it going. And then they do the leak down test to determine, apparently, the PSI in cylinder 2 is not high enough. We fought and fought about this one. Because if it has a bad cylinder, that's a whole nother problem with rebuilding the engine, which I wasn't going there. Fast forward to today. Here we are, March of 2022. Aesthetically, this bike is in mint condition. Always garage kept, under a cover. And these tires don't even have 80 miles on them, because that's when they found the old leak down test issue. So, why am I keeping this bike? This is the only year Triumph made the 650. It was predated by the 600, went to the 650 for 1 year, this year, and then they went right to the 675. So this is now 18 years old, a little over 5,000 miles, and one day I'm going to find somebody to rebuild that engine. Because someday British bikes go up in value, especially when they're one-offs, and these are getting harder and harder to find, and it's not costing me anything right now. Cost me a lot before, but you never know. I think Triumph overall now fixed and corrected all those problems, but that's the ordeal I've had with this bike, and that's why you don't see it on the channel riding it on the road, because it doesn't run right now. So what do you think? Leave it in the comments below. If you know anybody that can fix this without charging me an arm and a leg, let me know that too. That's my 18 years of ownership with the 2005 Triumph Daytona 650. 2.5 of them were awesome. The rest were a big headache. So thanks for watching my story on the Triumph Daytona 650. Don't forget.